Hello, my name is Bill Lupton. Welcome to this watercolour demonstration and a nice colourful view of the Yorkshire moors. Having wet the sky area completely, what I'm doing now is adding some yellow and then some crimson. I'll use a very dark crimson on top of this in a moment just to give some more depth to the sky. The playback in this recording is a lot faster than normal speed, just so we can go through the painting quickly. This is quite a dark colour I've mixed using alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. It gives me a nice colour to put on top of these clouds. Well, as well as uploading videos on YouTube, I'm also on Facebook, so why not seek me out? There's two ponds in this foreground land, and what I'm doing at the moment is just painting the water in there, and of course I'm using the same colours that I used in the sky. If you get a chance, why not visit my website? You'll find things that may be of interest to you on there. There's some painting classes, courses and kits, and some immediately downloadable painting guides, so it's worth a look. www.thepaintings.co.uk. I'm using a damp brush now to absorb some of that paint, to almost create light windline areas within the water. I've changed to a small brush because what I want to do is put a little bit of detail in those distant hills, but it is quite watery in a mauve colour, and that way it looks distant and quite misty. I'm now approaching from the other side, again the same sort of colour, but plenty of water at the base of those mountains. It does keep it nice and clean and helps with the mist. And now I need to let that dry. There we go, it's dry, and I can move forward now and paint the foreground mountains, a little bit stronger colour this time. I've decided that portion of land beneath that brightly lit sky is not bright enough, so I'm taking some paint out and adding a little bit of the yellow in there to reflect the colours in the sky. Using quite a dark green and some greys, I'm just adding a tree line along that edge there. It just finishes the base of the hills nice where it meets the foreground field. Rather than use a large brush, I decided to use a small one for this foreground. I'm also dipping in and out the palette with a slightly different colour. It just makes it a lot more interesting and adds a little bit more detail. And now I'm painting right close to where we're standing looking at the view, so I'm putting in some warm colours, and they're quite strong. I've just added a couple more layers to that distant colour. It adds depth to the paint on the paper. Then I dried the paint in with a hairdryer before moving on to putting the outline of those ponds. What I'm doing is adding water around the edge, and then just a touch of dark paint in there will just give a nice finish to that edge where it meets the water. And now I'm doing exactly the same to the foreground pond. Remember, it's just the far bank that you can see where it touches the water that needs to have this dark edge. I'm using a damp brush to pull some of that colour down into the water to look like reflections. To fill the void on the left hand side, I paint in quite a dark, tall tree. It's a bare tree, so it looks quite rugged and winter-like. And another tree on the right hand side behind the more distant pond. With some dark paint and the rigger brush now, I'm just flicking up some grasses in the foreground. And there's the reflection of the tree in the water. And I decided to add a bird in that nice bright area of sky. Using a 1-inch brush now and some quite dark paint, I'm painting over this foreground. Because it's dark, it'll bring this foreground right forward and make the rest seem a lot brighter and further back. That's a very wet brush now I'm using. It's got clean water on. All I'm doing is disturbing the paint so that when I dab it with some tissue, paint will pull away and give a nice light area to the bark. While that foreground paint is still damp, I'm using a credit card to scrape in those rocks, and then I shall put some more shadows behind those rocks using a small flat brush with some dark paint. Well, there we go. That's the painting finished. You can see the foreground details there, the grasses, the distant trees and the mountains, and there's the lovely sky with the bird that I added. Quite pleased with the way the tree came out, having disturbed the paint with a wet brush and then wiped it with tissue. And just below the tree you can see the reflections in the pond and those foreground rocks. Pretty good effect. Well, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that demonstration. Don't forget to subscribe because you'll receive free notifications of any more videos that I upload, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.